I asked you if you yourself doubt O.J. Simpson's innocence.
I have doubts.
Why?
The blood evidence is the biggest thorn in my side. That causes me the greatest problems. So I struggle with the blood evidence.
How do people treat you today?
Not good. People, I guess, think I had something to do with this.
You are a very religious man. Will O.J. Simpson go to heaven?
I'm not God, Barbara.
Did Robert Kardashian hide evidence that would have nailed O.J. Simpson back in October of 1995 when the trial was going on? Fred Goldman, the father of one of the victims, Ron Goldman, felt that Robert Kardashian hid evidence for O.J. Simpson. And it's been a point of controversy, conspiracy, and a lot of talk in the O.J. Simpson trial.
Ron and Nicole were butchered by their client. Do any of you believe otherwise? You have seen the evidence in this trial. It is overwhelming. This is not now the Furman trial. This is a trial about the man that murdered my son. How dare they take the position that all they want to do is prove perjury. They are liars.
Fred Goldman gave an exclusive back in 2014, mailonline.com, and basically said Robert Kardashian hid evidence that would have nailed O.J. Simpson for the murder of Nicole and my son. Fred Goldman made the sensational claim back in 2014. Now, you guys have to understand Robert Kardashian's role in this whole situation. Robert Kardashian was not a criminal trial attorney whatsoever. He actually had to renew his license in order for him to be part of this dream team that O.J. Simpson had. But his role is very interesting in this whole situation because they had a relationship prior to the murders. They were very much involved in their family events. They met in the 1970s while Robert Kardashian was attending law school and O.J. Simpson was working his way up through the NFL. In 1994, Robert Kardashian signed on as a member of the so-called Dream Team that defended Mr. Simpson when he was charged with murdering his former wife and his friend Ronald Goldman. Robert Kardashian's support of O.J. Simpson was a source of contention in the Kardashian family. Kim Kardashian spoke about this in 2015 in an interview in Rolling Stones. Robert Kardashian was with O.J. Simpson when the police questioned him at his Los Angeles home on the day after Nicole Simpson was found dead in front of her house after having been stabbed multiple times. As the police moved towards charging O.J. Simpson in the double homicide, the lawyer, Robert Shapiro, was hired to lead his defense. The team also came to include the lawyer, Johnny Cochran. Mr. Shapiro added Robert Kardashian as counsel, though he would have nothing to do with the legal strategy, according to those that were covering the trial. So Robert Kardashian had absolutely no legal fun in this whole situation. Robert Kardashian's job in here was to really take care of O.J. Simpson's clothing, take care of his appearance, his phone privileges in jail. All of that fell on Robert Kardashian. He actually disclosed that he made little to nothing when it came to this whole trial. Even before the charges were filed, Robert Kardashian seemed to jump into this caretaker role. With camera crews outside of O.J.'s house, a hideout was needed. After the charges were filed, O.J. Simpson basically went to Robert Kardashian's house in the Ford Bronx. O.J. Simpson reportedly held a gun to his head and was threatening to kill himself as he led police on a surreal, televised, slow speed chase. So from there was this news conference where Robert Kardashian read suicide letter from O.J. Simpson that he had left behind. At least it sounded like a suicide letter according to those that were around.
But I can't believe what is being said. Most of it is totally made up. I know you have a job to do, but as a last wish, please, please, please leave my children in peace. Their lives will be tough enough. I want to send my love and thanks to all my friends. I'm sorry I can't name every one of you.
During the lengthy trial, Robert Kardashian was at the defense table daily despite his limited role. Now, there was this thing about Robert Kardashian playing a bigger role in this whole situation, that he actually hid evidence for O.J. Simpson in this Louis Vuitton bag. And please keep in mind that the murder weapon has never been found. This Louis Vuitton bag has never been found. Where's this bag and where's this weapon? And what happened exactly to all of this is a point of mystery.
Look at this video taken the day after Simpson's wife Nicole and her friend were found stabbed to death. It shows Kardashian carrying Simpson's expensive Louis Vuitton garment bag. He puts it in his car and drives away. For more than 2 decades, there's been speculation that the murder weapon, a knife, was hidden inside that garment bag, and that Robert Kardashian knowingly removed it from O.J. Simpson's house here in Brentwood.
Fred Goldman believes, and he has spoken about this in multiple interviews, that Robert Kardashian, O.J. Simpson's trusted confidant and member of his dream team of lawyers, carried away evidence in a suitcase from the former football player's home the night his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and friend Ronald Goldman were viciously stabbed to death, and took the secret of where this bag is at to his grave. Ron Goldman's father, Fred Goldman, has said that evidence would have convicted the killer, referring to O.J. Simpson. So as you guys know, Robert Kardashian died of cancer in 2003. But his life was never the same after the trial. I have watched the 1996 interview with Barbara Walters, and we're going to review it here in a minute. You could see that he carried a lot of guilt. Now, for those that don't know, the crime was very brutal. Ronald Goldman was 25 at the time of his death. He was stabbed almost 60 times in his neck, which severed his jugular vein, a fatal wound, and then on the right side of his chest, a fatal wound, and his abdomen, also a fatal wound. But there were many more wounds, some defense wounds to his hands, but also in his thigh and scalp. And Nicole Brown Simpson's neck was cut from ear to ear, with her head almost severed from her body. She had been stabbed numerous times in other areas. She was 35, the mother of Sydney and Justin Simpson. Crimes were brutal. And I still don't know how this murder weapon was never found. Is it possible that Robert Kardashian had something to do with hiding this evidence and he took that secret with him to the grave? Now, a journalist had spotted Robert Kardashian carrying this Louis Vuitton suitcase, and it came into question later on about where is this Louis Vuitton suitcase that was carried out of OJ's home the day after the murders.
To the information that we're seeking, and we're entitled to it because Mr. Kardashian chose on the 13th of June last year to remove a full Louis Vuitton suitcase from the defendant's premises. Situation here. All of the evidence is already in the record as far as the relevance and the foundation for the bags that are an issue here, and particularly the Louis Vuitton bag. The limousine driver testified that that was the type of bag that was taken to the airport. The skycap testified that Mr. Simpson checked that into the airport. There's been evidence now that it indeed came back from Chicago because of the... we do now have a videotape of showing Mr. Kardashian leaving the defendant's premises with this same full Louis Vuitton garment bag.
When you say, Ms. Lewis, that you now have, how do you define now? When did this information become apparent to the people? And when did the materiality or potential materiality of Mr. Kardashian's testimony become apparent to the people?
As far as when we became aware that he took the tape, it's really difficult to say. We have seen, I don't know, and I don't think any of us can say for sure when we first saw the videotape. But when it became material was dependent on two things. First, on the fact that it became empty at some point in time. And second, and most importantly, on when the defense chose to put that bag before the jury. We had no intention of calling Mr. Kardashian as a witness or of introducing that bag prior, and we still had no intention of introducing that bag, but certainly no intention of questioning with regard to it until the defense in chambers brought forth the issue of these bags, and at that time made it to put that bag as well as the others in front of the jury. And when they did that, if that was something that they had been planning to do all along, they had an obligation.
So there's Robert Kardashian and O.J. Simpson's secretary the day after the murders. Nobody in the media, certainly not the cops, paid any attention to that garment bag at his feet. The cops are talking to O.J. in his yard. Now they've taken off the handcuffs.
In 1996, the Los Angeles magazine wrote this article called Stand By Your Man. Robert Kardashian was the closest friend an alleged murderer ever had. He took care of OJ's dirty laundry, including the famous garment bag, and kept his mouth shut. But now, as Simpson's civil trial begins, Kardashian finally be forced to tell all. Now, in May of 1996, Robert Kardashian did a deposition where he talked about this garment bag, this Louis Vuitton bag. And in this deposition, he says he never opened the bag, the garment bag. He didn't look in the bag. He didn't touch the bag after he took the bag to the destination. So what happened to this bag?
Now Kim Kardashian is shedding light on the mystery. In an interview in the new GQ magazine, Kim says she actually saw the contents of the bag. I remember I went through it. The news was like, where is this Louis Vuitton bag? And I'm like, oh, it's upstairs. So what does she say she found? Just toiletries and clothes and golf clothes. Just random stuff. I'm pretty sure it's still probably in my dad's storage.
This is a really weird statement for Kim K to make about this Louis Vuitton bag or this garment bag, where, you know, she says that she saw it, she looked through it, and she believes it's in her dad's storage. So you mean to tell me, I'm just thinking she's a child when this crime happened, because a lot of us were kids when this happened, right? You mean to tell me that this bag is potentially your dad's storage? Like, if I was the Goldmans or the Browns, I would be upset about this whole situation, and then finding out that, you know, Kim kind of inserted this in here. Did Robert Kardashian have this bag or not? Like, that's where I'm at right now. And where in storage? Like, what happened to it?
Let's watch Robert Kardashian's interview that he did with Barbara Walters in 1996. And you guys let me know your thoughts. Do you feel like this attorney would have helped his friend? Now, I was hoping that there would be like a body language expert to analyze this interview, because that would be awesome. But I haven't seen anybody do it. So let's go ahead and review this.
Took over. Defense team took over. What was your role? What were you?
If anything, I was the liaison between the attorneys and OJ. Whenever it was bad news, I had to tell OJ the bad news.
Thankless job.
Thankless job, very much so.
Did you make any money from all those weeks and months?
No, I got paid a little bit in the beginning.
Who made the most money?
Robert Shapiro.
How much did he make?
Our deal with him was $1 million to $100,000 a month.
Has he got paid?
Not all of it.
Mr. Kardashian, you sat in that court.
Has he gotten paid? Not all of it. Now, with the death of O.J. Simpson, I'm kind of wondering, like, I don't know if he has an estate, but he lost a wrongful death suit, right, against the Goldmans. And I'm kind of wondering if any of that is going to go towards paying that, because he also has not paid that whatsoever.
Courtroom as a lawyer. Now you're talking about things that you discussed with O.J. Simpson. Doesn't this violate your attorney-client privilege?
Barbara, I'm on the witness list for the civil trial, and I think that's something that the court will have to determine at that time.
You say that Robert Shapiro said to you, this is how I think the murders may have been committed. What did he say?
Mr. Shapiro told me one day that he thinks OJ went over there and he was just going to poke her tires, and she caught him, and that's when the murders took place. And I was astounded. Here is our lead trial attorney giving me this theory of guilt. And I said, I don't want to hear theories of guilt.
Do you think Robert Shapiro thought that O.J. Simpson was guilty?
Yes.
Again and again, you say that Robert Shapiro wanted Simpson to plea bargain.
I overheard Mr. Shapiro at one point in the courtroom during a break say to Mr. Simpson, we should plea bargain. You would get 12 years or whatever it was, and Robert Kardashian would get so much time as an accessory.
Wow.
Well, Barbara, my jaw dropped.
Why would you have been?
As an accessory, so people really thought that he had something to do with this murder. I mean, but here's the deal. Do you guys think that Robert Kardashian had something to do with hiding evidence, destroying evidence in this murder?
An accessory for hiding the
I
knife
have
or
no
something?
idea.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I was astounded and I was shaking. I was so mad, so upset. Where would this even come from? He knew that I knew nothing about any of this.
What did Simpson say when his attorney says, maybe we should plea bargain?
He started yelling at Bob and saying, "What are you talking about? I don't ever want to hear this again. I didn't do this."
Robert Shapiro denies this. He says that he may just have mentioned plea bargaining with the lawyers as a kind of what if, where you examine every scenario. Which one is telling the truth, you or Shapiro?
I am.
This is why you wanted Shapiro off the case and wanted Johnny Cochran?
We didn't need our lead attorney having concerns about
You had the
guilt.
state,
Also,
Cochran, Kardashian, and the rest of the defense team gave Simpson's house a complete makeover.
They went in and they remade that house. As one source told me who was there, the white women came off the walls and the black women came marching in.
You and other members of the defense team rearranged pictures, took away pictures of white women. Paula Barbieri, whose nude picture was next to OJ's bed, put in pictures of OJ with his mother, put a sympathetic poster of a little black girl supposedly starting school that had been in Cochran's office, rearranged all these pictures. Don't you feel that you were manipulating the jury?
I did feel this was manipulative.
And actually, the pictures had been quite glamorous and mostly white.
Previously, yes.
Previously.
Yes.
Wow. One of the things that you write that most disturbed some of the members of the defense team was the DNA evidence, the blood. This really raised out.
It affected everybody.
Which ones were certain that O.J. Simpson was innocent? Which ones had doubts and even thought he was guilty?
I think that many of them, maybe the majority of them, had doubts, but they were professionals.
Did Johnny Cochran have doubts about O.J. Simpson's innocence?
He had doubts about O.J. Simpson's stories about the cuts on his fingers. He had doubts about the fact that Simpson could remember almost everything in his life, but couldn't explain when the cuts took place or how.
But the biggest problem was the blood. Simpson's blood at the crime scene. Nicole's blood found on Simpson's sock in his bedroom. Most damaging, Ron Goldman's blood in the Bronco. And the blood of all three found in the glove at Rockingham. How did the DNA, the blood evidence, affect you? Ron Goldman's blood in Simpson's Bronco, Simpson's blood in so many places?
Barbara, that was the most devastating part of the whole trial for me. I wake up in the middle of the night. I'm so conflicted because of that blood evidence.
Oh, Mr. Kardashian, but you didn't do or say anything about it. I mean, they were seeing the evidence during the trial. I know he didn't play like a legal strategy role, but let me know your thoughts in the comments.
It's very difficult for me.
You had many discussions with A.C. Cowlings about the blood. You and Cowlings, two of Simpson's best friends. And he also expressed doubt. Yes?
Yes. If you can imagine, two men who have known OJ, I 25 years and AC grew up with him, knows him much better than I. When we would talk about this blood evidence, we would go all over the board. We would go from innocence, he couldn't have done it, and list all the reasons why. Then we would say, well, but how did the blood get here? Maybe he did. And it was so heart-wrenching, Barbara.
To believe that O.J. Simpson is truly innocent, you have to believe that the LAPD conspired to frame him. Do you believe that?
I don't believe the entire LAPD conspired. I believe a few individuals did some things that were not normal.
We already talked about the LAPD before on this channel. LAPD does the most. They will conspire and they will cover up.
But not a whole conspiracy.
No, it's impossible.
It has been reported that Simpson knew the night before the jury came in with the verdict that he was going to be acquitted. True?
Absolutely false.
So when O.J. Simpson walked into that courtroom, he did not know whether or not he was going to be found guilty.
He had no idea, and neither did I.
Okay.
What was your reaction to the verdict?
That morning, I got to the court a little early. OJ was in his cell, and I prayed with him at that time. And I prayed to God, not that this man be set free, but that thy will be done. Only you know, God, what has happened here.
This is interesting. You know, Robert Kardashian is my understanding is that he was a very religious man, but that he prayed that, God to his will, that if this man is innocent, that the right conviction go through. But I mean, some of us know that. I personally don't believe that O.J. Simpson is innocent whatsoever. And he's demonstrated that throughout his life.
Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder in violation of Penal Code Section 187A.
Mr. Kardashian, do you now doubt O.J. Simpson's innocence?
Barbara, if I were on the jury today on the civil trial, because of the reasonable doubt, I would vote not guilty.
That is not what I asked you.
Ooh.
I asked you if you yourself doubt O.J. Simpson's innocence.
I have doubts.
Why?
The blood evidence is the biggest thorn in my side.
He had doubts, right? And yet he still represented him. But, their jobs as attorneys, their jobs is just to defend their client, no matter who they have to throw under the bus or what they have to do. But Robert Kardashian had doubts. And he stood by, right? He stood by. So could he have had the opportunity to hide that Louis Vuitton bag, to hide stuff? And then you have the clip of Kim Kardashian who says,
Now Kim Kardashian is shedding light on the mystery. In an interview in the new GQ magazine, Kim says she actually saw the contents of the bag. I remember I went through it. The news was like, where is this Louis Vuitton bag? And I'm like, oh, it's upstairs. So what does she say she found? Just toiletries and clothes and golf clothes. Just random stuff. I'm pretty sure it's still probably in my dad's storage.
That it's still in dad's storage? So which one is it? Did he do something? Did he not do something?
That causes me the greatest problems. So I struggle with the blood evidence.
What is your relationship today with O.J. Simpson?
The relationship is not the same as it once was, nor will it ever be.
Why not?
Because I have doubts.
You will testify at Simpson's civil trial.
If called, I am on the witness list.
Will you say you had doubts?
If called, I'll tell the truth, Barbara.
If you had to do it all over again, would you have stood by your friend?
To endure death threats on my life, to endure death threats on my children's lives, to lose a fiance, to suffer in my personal business.
Because she was upset about this whole
Because of the trial just took its toll. To have all these things happen to me, I would honestly say no, I would not get involved again.
How do people treat you today?
Not good. People, I guess, think I had something to do with this.
Did Simpson ever say to you, Robert, I appreciate this, I know what you did?
No.
Would O.J. Simpson have done this for you?
No, I don't believe he would, Barbara.
You are a very religious man. Will O.J. Simpson go to heaven?
I'm not God, Barbara.
And so I end this video with this clip, how O.J. Simpson described a 20-year relationship with Robert Kardashian.
By the way, would you consider Robert Kardashian one of your close friends?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I certainly would.
As of June of 1994?
Yes.
How long had you known Mr. Kardashian as of June of 1994?
Over 20 years.
Did he ever act as your attorney?
Yes.
When?
On some business deals that we had done in the past.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear what this is saying. They're having trouble hearing you, Mr. Simpson.
Some business deals that we had done in the past.
In the 70s?
70s and possibly 80s.
But aside from those business deals, your relationship with him was principally a friendship one, right?
Principally, yes.
But I want to know what you guys think. Do you feel that Robert Kardashian hid evidence that could have convicted O.J. Simpson? And now that O.J. Simpson is dead, what does this all mean now? Will Ron, Goldman, and Nicole Brown Simpson ever get any justice? Doesn't seem so. I'll see you guys on the next one. Rabbits out. Bye, guys.